Chaotic wormhole space contains some of the most dangerous encounters, but also some of the best rewards. When you enter a wormhole, you will always start in regulated space. At any point, however, you can choose to go to the chaotic part of wormhole space. Here, players can engage in PvP without any repercussions. Many of the encounters you can find in regulated space can also be found here. But chaotic space also holds some unique encounters that can only be found in this part of the wormhole. In this video, I will show you the unique encounters you may find in chaotic wormhole space. The encounter I am in right now may seem like a standard asteroid field at first, but these asteroids have a variety of surprises in hold for you. Some are bad, some are good. Among the good things you can find are loot and temporary and permanent buffs. Among the bad things you can find are temporary debuffs, enemies that spawn, or asteroids that are just empty. The next encounter holds a Sanctuary Academy satellite. Interacting with it doesn't always give the same result. Sometimes it gives you a permanent buff. Sometimes a reduction of your wormhole fatigue, meaning you get extra time in the wormhole. Or, if you are really lucky, you get the coordinates to a new location. In this instance, I got lucky. If you go to this new location, you will find a single loot container. After a countdown period, you can open this container. This container has much more loot than any of the other loot containers. But beware! As soon as the Sanctuary satellite notifies you of this new location, it will also notify all other players that are currently in the wormhole with you. So you might have to fight off some other players before you can get your loot. The countdown period and the time it takes to loot the container take a long time. Longer even than in this video, because I have accelerated the game speed so I can show you all the encounters in a shorter time. The abandoned base is not completely abandoned. As the Tin Hab representative tells you, a spy is hiding inside. You have to interact with the base to lure him out and then kill him. As soon as you kill him, you will get some loot and a permanent buff that gives you plus 25% to your velocity. There is no need to interact with the base to get your reward. When you interact with the damage supply depot in this encounter, your ship AI will give you some info on it. Don't skip this text, but read it carefully, because this text gives you a hint on the right answer to the 3 options it will present to you next. In this case, the hint is that some electromagnetic noise is detected. So here, the option to request to communicate is the only right option. But sometimes you get a different hint, where the option to transfer energy or to decrypt makes more sense. You only get a reward if you picked the right option. The next encounter is a bit weird. It starts with a freighter urging you not to come any closer. But if you stay put or move away from the freighter, nothing will happen. If you ignore the warning and move closer to the freighter, 8 infected mining vessels will pop up. Don't bother to try and kill these, because for each vessel you kill, a new one will pop up and there is no end to these. And they don't give any rewards, so don't waste your ammo and remember to keep auto combat turned off. The 8 infected vessels won't attack you, but instead they will form up and transform into a new powerful ship called the Center Brain. This ship will attack you. If you manage to kill it, you have a chance to get a reward. Sometimes it's just credits, sometimes it's some loot, the same as you would get from a normal encounter, but on several occasions I didn't get any loot at all. I'm not sure if this is intended or a bug. In the next encounter, we meet the greedy adventurer. He wants to rob some smuggler warehouses and he asks for your help. He doesn't have a subtle approach either. He just wants to blow up the warehouse and see what comes out. As soon as you start shooting the warehouse, some smugglers will show up to defend it. At this point you better switch your firepower to the smugglers, because the greedy adventurer won't help you in taking them down. He will just continue to attack the warehouse. After the warehouse explodes, it will drop absolutely nothing. The greedy adventurer suggests you try again with a second warehouse. After this warehouse takes some damage, more smugglers will show up to defend it. Again, switch to the smugglers as soon as they show up, because the greedy adventurer will just continue to attack the warehouse. When the second warehouse explodes, a loot container will drop. You cannot loot it yet though, because the greedy adventurer says that he will keep all the loot for himself. At this point, you get the option to attack him, and you should definitely do that, because only after you attack him, you can loot the container. If you leave him alive, he will just leave with all the loot and you get nothing. This encounter takes a long time to complete and you only get one normal loot container at the end, so you might want to skip this encounter. Father Cruz wants you to join his religion. You can answer in 3 possible ways. You can accept his offer but will have to pay 10,000 credits. You can threaten him, or you can politely decline. If you choose to pay him, all ships will leave and you can loot the 2 containers. However, one of the 2 containers will be empty. If you choose to threaten him, all ships will leave, but they will also give you a nasty temporary debuff that halts your energy regeneration. You can then again loot the 2 containers, but one of them will still be empty. If you choose to politely decline, as I did here, all ships will attack you. But if you manage to defeat them, you get to loot both containers, but this time both of them contain loot. My advice is to never choose the option to threaten him, because the debuff is just too harsh. If you have a ship that can kill a large group fast, you should choose the politely decline option. Otherwise, just pay the fee. After you choose to pay the fee for the first time, you will get an achievement that will award you with 400,000 credits. So don't worry about the money. In the next encounter, you need to respond to a distress signal from an unknown ship. There are always the same 3 neutral ships here. But the one sending the distress signal is not always the same. It seems random, but I suspect the correct ship is the one closest to the acceleration track. I'm not 100% positive that this is always the case, but this time it is, and I picked the correct one at the first try. If you pick the wrong one, you have to fight some enemies before you can try another. If you pick the correct one, the Valkyrie will show up and you have to follow it to the acceleration track. As soon as it gets there, you get your reward. There is no need to fight the enemies. The last encounter I want to show you, Balalaika and Mark Zhang are trying to negotiate a deal. If you approach Balalaika, you get the option to speak with her. And if you do, you can say that you are undercover for either Balalaika or Mr. Zhang. Or you can say that you are just passing by. If you choose to be undercover for Balalaika, you will have to fight Mr. Zhang and his bodyguards. And if you choose to be undercover for Mr. Zhang, you will have to fight Balalaika and her bodyguards. The group you choose to be undercover for will help you in this fight and reward you afterwards. If you say that you are just passing by, they will give you a moment to warp out, which will give you no reward, by the way. If you don't warp out, then soon all ships will attack you at once. If you manage to defeat them, you will get your reward and an achievement. But this fight is very hard, and you could end up dead. Thanks for watching. Check out my other wormhole videos as well to get more info on what encounters you may find in the wormholes. The links are in the description.